Hi, it's Lucy, and today I'm here to do a reaction video. I don't really do these videos, but I thought, why not? It'll be fun. And as the title has probably already told you, today I'm going to be reacting to a video I made almost 4 years ago now. That's how long I've been on BookTube. And that video is my top 10 unread series. These were the top 10 series that I felt like I should have already started reading in 2015. That was the year that I started my BookTube channel, so a lot of these books I think were influenced by, being new to BookTube and like seeing all the things everyone was talking about. So yeah, I actually haven't watched this video in quite a long time. So all of these series I think will be a surprise to me. I think I remember one of the series, Throne of Glass, is definitely on this list. And I think Shadow and Bone is also on this list. But yeah, as we go through the books, I'm going to just react to what I'm thinking about the series and stuff, like whether I read it or not. And as a fun bonus thing, because I'm not 100% convinced that this video won't be super boring anyway, I'm going to add a fun audience participation component a la Murphy from Murphy Napier, also known as her name. So at the end of the video, we'll figure out all the series that I haven't started yet. Then I will use a poll and you guys can decide which series I will make it a priority to start. So I'll probably add the first book to my June TBR. That seems like a good TBR because May is already too close, or you might be watching this video in May depending on when this goes up, I don't know. So yeah, so don't forget to vote. But yeah, we love audience participation. I have my computer here and I have headphones in so it doesn't interrupt and stuff. And also this video is privated, so if you wanted to go watch it, you can. After that, I thought of them. First I have the Shatter Me trilogy by Tahereh Mafi. It just seems really interesting. I know this is Whitney from Witty Novels' favorite series like ever, and so I wanna get into the world of... Okay, so the Shatter Me trilogy, it is now not a trilogy. I think it's like a 6-book series. It's going to be a 6-book series. The 5th book just came out because it got extended after the 3rd book, so that's interesting. I have read this series. Well, I started to read the series, so I read Shatter Me and I actually really enjoyed it. And then I read the novella that's in between the 1st and 2nd book. I didn't like that as much. And then I read the 2nd book and I really didn't like that as much, so I decided I'm not going to read that series anymore. And yeah, so this will not be in the poll because I did give it a shot. Next is The Program Duology by Suzanne Young. Well, I read that also. So I read both of those books in the duology, but the series is like a large series with like multiple series in it. That doesn't make sense. Like, it has its own world. Basically, it's a dystopian series where like all teenagers kind of get their memories taken away from them to make them like happier. Like, it's supposed to be like a cure for depression or something, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I read it. I read the 2 books in the actual program duology, and then there's like a prequel series about like how that treatment that's supposed to cure depression came about, and then I think there's a sequel series about after the events of the program duology, and I think there might be one other one like set in that world also. I haven't read any of the extra series because the program duology was fine. I enjoyed it, but I didn't think it was like that great or worth investing my time into more books in that world, so I didn't. But I did read that duology, so I'm 2 for 2 on this video. Yeah. Next I have the Shadow and Bone trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. I don't really know that much about it. I've heard a lot of good things about it, so I want to read it. The Shadow and Bone trilogy. First of all, it's Leigh Bardugo, not Leigh Bardugo. 4 years ago, me didn't know how to pronounce names. But yeah, it's Leigh Bardugo, I know that now. And I have read the Shadow and Bone trilogy, and I read the Six of Crows duology. It's behind me, I don't know if you can actually see it. And I read King of Scars, so I'm like completely caught up in the Leigh Bardugo world. I'm like super on top of this one, so yeah, that's pretty cool. The only book I haven't read in like the Grisha world, Grishaverse as it's called now, is the book of short stories, The Language of Thorns, which I am planning to get and read eventually soon. Next I have the Mara Dyer trilogy by Michelle Hodkin. So that's the first series that I haven't tried or attempted to read. So yeah, I haven't read the Mara Dyer trilogy. It's also been extended, I think. There's like a sequel series now that it has like not great reviews, but I still kind of want to read the Mara Dyer trilogy. The reason I haven't read it, I don't know why I haven't read it. It just hasn't come up because it is one of those older books. When I was filming this video, it was an older book. And so 3.5, 4 years later, it's an even older book. So yeah, that's the main reason I haven't read it yet. So that is the first option you guys have on forcing me to read a book, the Mara Dyer trilogy, or I would read what is the first book in the Mara Dyer trilogy? So the first book in the Mara Dyer trilogy is The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer, so I would read that book if you guys voted for that. Your votes will only make me read the first book in the series. If I continue on in the series, it's completely up to me. Okay, so I have now realized that this whole time I was filming, I forgot to put my mic on. So yeah, before you had not so great sound quality, but now hopefully the sound quality will be better. Yay! Next I have a series that BookTube has not influenced me to read, and that is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series by Douglas Adams. If you don't know, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is not in fact one book. I mean, it is just one book, but it is a whole series of books. So that one I also started. I actually started this one last year. So yeah, I read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the first book in this series. So I'm 4 out of 5. I am not continuing on in the series, but I did read the first book. So wow, I'm doing pretty good. I really expected this to have a bunch of series that I did not remember and like I had never like seen after I filmed this video, but I said I wanted to read these series and then I went out and actually tried to read these series. Wow, isn't that crazy? Next, again, I have a series that BookTube has not influenced me to read. It's just, it was on my list before I found BookTube. I mean, most of these were, but they weren't like my top 10 unread series until like BookTube happened and I hear all these people saying great things about them. But next is The Giver Quartet by Lois Lowry. I've actually read The Giver, and I know it can be read as a standalone, and I kind of prefer it as a standalone, but now that I know that there are other books in the series, I want to read them because I want to know. I'm pretty sure they're all standalones from what I can tell, but they're connected. Like they're all in the same world and they're connected somehow, and I want to read it. I don't know why I haven't. They're like children's books. They're not even that long. I don't know why I haven't read them. Like I said, at the time I had already read The Giver, and like I also said, I knew it could be read as a standalone, but I didn't want to read it as a standalone. I wanted to finish the series, and I did, so I'm 5 out of 6. I liked the series. It was enjoyable, but I know a lot of people don't like the rest of the series. I don't know. I just enjoyed reading it. I think the third book in the last 3 was the best one. I think the last one was kind of unnecessary, but I thought they were interesting. I thought they kind of fleshed out the world a little bit more, so if you were really confused about the world, I think it would be helpful to read. It doesn't super flesh out everything. There's still a lot of stuff you end up not knowing, but I thought it was interesting and I enjoyed it, so I'm glad that I did end up finishing the series. Next, I have the Raven Boys trilogy by Maggie Stiefvater. I've heard a lot of things about this, not just on BookTube, also. Okay, so we have the Raven Boys trilogy, and I actually have the first book, and I did, in fact, read this first book. I haven't finished the series, but I read the first book, I enjoyed it, and I do have plans to continue on in the series. Since this is the 7th book, I think, we'll do for this series, since I am planning to continue on, you might just make me read it faster. You can vote for the second book in the series, The Dream Thieves, for me to read in June, in the poll. Next is a series I'm so ashamed of. It's the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. In my defense, I had never heard of it until I started BookTube in June. But once I started BookTube, it is all I have been seeing, and I'm like, oh, I want to read that. Oh, I want to read that. This is the first series that I have not even given a shot, that I have actually taken off of my TBR. So I wanted to read Throne of Glass because, like I said in the video, I don't know why I'm pointing at it like you can see, because like I said in the video, I joined BookTube and literally was all everyone was talking about. I don't know if one of the books had just came out when I joined or what, but like every other video I was seeing, people were talking about Throne of Glass this, Throne of Glass that, Selena this, Kale that, blah, blah, blah. I even know some of the character names. Like that's how much people were talking about Throne of Glass. So obviously I felt like I wanted to read that series, but hearing more and more about things that happened later on in the series, it made me not want to read it, especially because it's so long. The last 3 books I think are over 500 pages each. And yeah, so it made me really not want to read the series. But since my poll is so short, I'm just going to stick this in the poll. So if you want to punish me, or you really think I'm misjudging here and I should read Throne of Glass, you can vote for Throne of Glass in the poll. and I will read Throne of Glass. No promises on the rest of the gigantic, monstrous series, but if Throne of Glass wins the poll, I'll read it. The next series I'm going to talk to you guys about is the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy by Laini Taylor. This series I know is Kat from Catty-tastic's favorite series of all time, I think it is, or one of her favorite series of all time. She definitely loves it. And I want to see what the hype is about. Most of these are about me seeing what the hype is about. So that is another one that I have started. I feel like I'm doing really good. Only 2 of these I haven't started at all, but I also haven't finished most of these either. So there's that. So I read Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I really enjoyed it. There is some insta-love and stuff, but I don't know, I enjoyed it. The writing is really good. That's what everyone praises it for. And I agree with that. By the time you see this video, I should have already read the second book in the trilogy, which I cannot remember the name of it. I should have already read Days of Blood and Starlight, which is book 2 in the series. It depends on whenever the library gets it to me. For some reason, they're holding it hostage. And I guess I could put the 3rd book in the poll. We'll see. I'll decide at the end of the video. The last series I'm going to talk to you guys about is the Gemma Doyle trilogy by Libba Bray. I know a lot of people have like this intense love for Libba Bray, so I'm probably not going to read this series by her first. I'm probably going to read one of her standalones because I want to know what everyone loves about her, and it just seems like a really interesting series. I can't remember what it's about, but I feel like there's a lot of mystery involved. The last series was the Gemma Doyle trilogy by Libba Bray. This is another book that, like Throne of Glass, that I ended up taking off of my TBR because I heard some things about like the representation and stuff that is in the Gemma Doyle trilogy. It did not age well, so I just took it off my TBR. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to add it back on. And I literally have no idea what this series is about. I have read other books by Libba Bray since then, and I do enjoy her as a writer, so we'll see what happens. I know that this trilogy is one of her earlier works though, so we'll see what happens. So the first book in the Gemma Doyle trilogy is called A Great and Terrible Beauty, so I will add that into the poll and you can vote on that. So just to reiterate the books that are in the poll: The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer, which I haven't started at all, and it is the only book that I haven't started that I left on my TBR. Dreams of God and Monsters, this is the 3rd book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. I am going to read the 2nd book very soon, and so I put the 3rd book in the poll. Throne of Glass by, who wrote this series? Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. This is another series that I never started and never planned to start, but you can make me start it by voting in the poll. The Dream Thieves by Maggie Stiefvater, and this is a series that I was planning to continue, but you'll just make me continue it faster. And the last book in the poll is the one I just mentioned, Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray. This is the 1st book in the Gemma Doyle trilogy, and this is another book that I actually took off my TBR, but you can make me add it back on by voting for it. The poll will go up for a while. I'll probably leave it until like June. Like that's when I'll make a decision, like when I'm planning. My June TBR is when I'll like, not make a decision, but when I'll like look at the poll. But yeah, in the meantime, vote in the poll. You can also put what you voted for in the comments if you feel like it. Convince other people to vote with what you voted. If you have any opinions about any of the series that I mentioned in this video, if you read some of these series and enjoyed them or didn't like them, tell me why in the comments down below. Leave any thoughts you have in the comments down below. I always appreciate it. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell because I make more videos where I talk about books. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a like, subscribe to me on all my social media. I have Twitter and Goodreads. And this is the end of my outro, I think. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.